Hey Josh, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Hanging in there.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for hitting me up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad I could do it. And what an album and what a great band to be able to help promote here. I mean, with the sophomore album with From Hell with Rats and Ravens just coming out next week already through Scourge Records. I mean, how does it feel to be having this album coming out already?
Um, I'm pretty stoked about it. Pretty happy. It's been a long time coming. I've actually been working on it for a little while, but life happens, and there ends up being some delays here and there. But finally got it ready, and happy that it's coming out now.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to check out this album for quite a bit now, and I just really love what's going on here from start to finish. I just love the overall aesthetics of what's going on. I love the production. I love the musicianship that's going on, and this just feels like a killer heavy metal album from start to finish.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously, with it taking a bit of time to be able to get everything rolling for this album, I mean, what was it like to begin writing for this album?
I guess, it just started off with coming up with the concept, the idea. When I started it, I wrote a story from start to finish, and there was all kinds of crazy details in it that ended up being really hard to actually get into the final album. There are just a lot of details that when you're writing the lyrics only give you so much space to talk about this or that, but it was really challenging actually. It was I like the challenge, but sometimes it can really knock your head against the wall, going, what do I do next?
Oh, I can totally imagine that's the case. And yeah, I mean, when you hear that first album and the great quality that is, I mean, you want to make sure that the next album is going to be on par, if not better than the next album. So I can imagine that there can be some challenges that come along with it.
Yeah, it was tough, but playing with Wes and Steven the last few years, our styles have or our playing has kind of gelled a little bit together. And then having Steve come in during pre-production while we were getting ready to record, it was killer. We just putting the whole album together. Having their influence from what they've done in the past to add to what I'd written was a really cool experience. It was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's great to see everything that did happen with it as well too. I mean, obviously with a bit of a lineup change and going a little bit different. I mean, I really love the direction again where everything is going with this. I mean, even though it was a bit of a challenge to be able to get everything rolling, it sounds like once everything got rolling that the songs were just coming out so natural, so organic, and again, the final product, it's just great to hear the way that it turned out.
Thank you. I just the way those guys play, the way they approach each song, I give them kind of a skeleton beat, kind of a basic idea of what I'm after, and then they just play it how they want to play it, and it ends up just working out really well together. I like how everything came together in the end, and Wes has had a varied background and lots of different styles of music, from jazz to R&B to metal, and same with Steven. And so they add a bunch of those elements to these metal songs, which is a little different than what a lot of other bands are doing. And then Steve comes in and just really complements me harmonically and melodically with what I'm doing. And it came out a little bit different than I expected, but in the end, just very cool. Very, very cool. I'm really happy with it.
And to me, that's what really makes it stand out. I mean, instead of just having like a traditional heavy metal sound, thrash metal, death metal, I mean, there's so many different kinds of little nuances and influences that are going on. I mean, be it little fills, be it riffs, be it whole on things that are going on. I mean, it's great to be able to see that kind of variation that's going on, but still maintaining that core sound of From Hell.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about it.
Oh, for sure. So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously, when you gave them the skeletons of the songs and they were starting to work on it, I mean, what was it like being able to hear these guys being able to put on their touches for these songs for the first time?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Oh, when you were finally starting to be able to hear what these guys were able to bring to your songs, I mean, what was that like hearing that for the first time?
Magical. Just listening to the songs, like, hearing what I'd written, just played how, I would give them a song, like, okay, this is what it sounds like, and then they start playing it the way they do it, and it was just amazing. Just what they were doing was super cool, and just the way it was sounding in the end was just awesome.
Oh, that's so cool to hear that. And, with that in mind, I mean, obviously with them being able to add their touches to the songs, I mean, obviously what you do with the band is so important with the idea of coming up with the songs, and of course, lyrically, what's going on with it too. I mean, what was it like when things were changing lyrically for the album and you were able to start working on these songs and making them come out the way that they did?
Hang on one second.
Oh, sure.
Writing the lyrics, it was challenging writing the lyrics this time around, but I needed to wait for all the songs to be written together, and working with these guys in the studio, we did the pre-production, and I had the basic idea of the story written, but I didn't have all the full lyrics written until we had all the songs recorded. And once we had the songs recorded and in their kind of final format, then I went back and I took my concept and I put it over the top of what we'd done, and it was pretty challenging, because the way I'd written the story, I'd written it in chapters, the first time, and then each chapter was, intended to be one song. But then the way the songs would sound didn't exactly match the lyrics, so I had to go back and kind of make some changes here and there. And sometimes one song would better describe a different part of the story, and so it would kind of change how I was going to deliver the story in the end. And so eventually it just ended up being, the story ended up coming out the way I wanted it to, but just not quite the way I had originally imagined. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out.
It's amazing how that can work, isn't it? Where you have this idea, but once the whole band gets involved, they're able to add their touches, and you start thinking about things over. I mean, you can still get to that final product the way that you wanted to get there, but it was a different course to get there, and sometimes that can really turn out for the best.
I think it did this time. Sometimes you just got to roll with the flow of how things are going, and if you get stuck on a particular idea and think that it has to go this way, you just end up doing yourself a major disservice.
Oh, for
sure. And so, by taking by just letting things happen the way they would happen naturally, I think it worked out better.
Oh, absolutely. And you can just hear that throughout the entire album. And to me, that's what really makes it stick out, is the organic and natural sounds that are coming throughout this album. And, it's so great to hear that in 2020 when it can be so easy to digitize everything. I mean, this sounds like a real album, and it's great to hear that.
That's what we liked about Greg. When we came back from Russia in 2017, we went and recorded 2 demo songs with Greg at Earhammer, because I'd heard a lot of good stuff about him, and heard some of his recordings, and thought, I want to take this approach to recording our next album. So we went in and recorded those 2 songs, and the band really liked working with Greg, and so we decided that's where we wanted to record the next album.
Oh yeah, and he has such an amazing resume of albums that he has been a part of, and it's great to see that he was able to add From Hell to that collection as well too. I mean, when you think about like all the great albums that he's a part of, and being able to add his touch to make this album sound even better.
Yeah, Steve is just amazing at complimenting what I do harmonically and melodically. It's great.
Oh, for sure. So, with all that in mind, I mean, obviously, with it taking a while for it to get out or come together, and now it's finally coming out next week. And, you know, when you're looking back at the final product now, I mean, what's it like knowing that this whole thing has come to fruition and people are finally going to be able to check it out next week?
I'm happy because, you know, it's like you have this big project on your brain that you want to share with everybody, but you just can't for whatever reason, this reason, that reason, another reason, you know, and you just have to wait for the dates as they approach. So I'm finally happy to get this stuff out and share it with everyone. I think that's probably the best feeling is, you know, just, you know, finally getting the record out of there. And because I'm kind of, you know, until it's actually out there, I'm going to work on it every single day. And I've been working on this album for, you know, a good year and a half, 2 years, listening to these songs almost every single day, multiple times. So to finally have it come out now, I'm really, really, really pleased, you know.
Oh, definitely. And of course, this is the kind of album that you want to be able to enjoy from start to finish. I mean, obviously, with it being a concept album and wanting to hear it from start to finish, you want to hear how that whole story goes. But, you know, of course, when it comes to music, you got to be able to release a single or two to be able to help promote the album. I mean, what was it like being able to decide what songs to show off first?
That was kind of a difficult decision. I really wanted to release They Come at Night first. But talking to my marketing team, we decided that we should release Lilium first because it was a lyric video and it was still early in the promotions of the record. I really wanted to put They Come at Night out first and then Lilium and then The Witch, which we do have a video coming up for sometime in June. But in the end, we just decided that we should put the two production videos out closer to the album release date. And then so we put Lilium out as a lyric video back in March, and you know that was kind of the reason for that. We thought it was a good, hard-hitting song, but it's actually one of my favorites. You know, if I can, I might even go back and shoot a video for that. But so that's the reason that Lilium came out first. But the story actually starts with They Come at Night.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm glad to see that those three songs are being represented in some kind of video form. I mean, being a lyric video, being it showing the album cover, or a full-on video. I mean, those are three excellent songs that do start off the album right, and it's great to see that they are getting that visual representation.
Yeah, thank you. We've worked really hard on this stuff, so we're pretty stoked to finally get it out and display it for people.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of visual representation, I really love the album artwork. I mean, I love the colors that's going along with it and just that morbid look behind it. I mean, how did that come together for the album work?
The artist is Pete Novak, and he does amazing work. So I met Pete down at Monsterpalooza in LA a couple of years ago. Monsterpalooza is a horror movie convention that happens in Burbank every year. And so one year, me and my girlfriend went down there, and we're just kind of walking through, looking at all the amazing horror-related stuff that was down there, and I came across this one artist named Pete Novak, and he had an art piece that he called the Wendigo, and I thought it was just amazing. I looked at it, and I thought I have to buy this, so I bought it, and just looking at it, going, I want this guy to do my next album art. And so I started talking to him. I sent him a message. I talked to him at the convention, and he said, sure, I'm interested. And so a little bit later, I sent him a message and gave him the concept of what I was after, and his brain just went to town. And he sent me early on, he sent me some ideas of what he was thinking, and just those basic ideas, I was blown away. And I really thought that, you know, that was going to be it. And then a couple months later, he sends me this piece, and it was just 10,000 times different and better than what he'd done the first time. So yeah, the guy just does amazing artwork. I hope he gets some, you know, more work out of this, but it's just, I love it. Just the detail of what he put together is just, I mean, if you zoom in, you can just kind of stare at it for a good hour and just see all kinds of different stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like the more that you look at it, the more the details that you're able to notice. And I think the thing that sticks out most to me, at least, is the eyes on everything that's going on there. It's like you see the look of everything else that's going on, but when you look at the eyes of everything that's a part of there, it's just I love the way that that looks and it contrasts compared to everything else in the artwork.
Yeah, he has an interesting eye for that. I don't really know how he does his art so much. Like that's I guess the secret of being an artist. But just what he ends up coming up with is amazing.
Oh, it totally is. And it's so cool that you were able to get him to do the artwork for this. And of course, getting everyone involved in this album. I mean, it's such a star-studded lineup, everyone that you got involved with this. And it's just so cool to see everything is turning out the way that it is. And finally, next week, it is getting that representation it deserves, and everyone's going to be able to check it out. And I hope people are going to be able to enjoy the album as much as I do, because it is one of those albums that it's just really good to hear, especially with what's going on in the world right now. It's the perfect time to be able to release an album and have people really sit down and take the time and be able to appreciate a good horror story in heavy metal in audio form. And again, I love the way that it turned out, and it's so cool to see that this is finally coming out.
Well, thanks to people like you, who are out there telling people about it. That's that feels really good to me. So I appreciate the interview and you telling your listeners about it. That means everything to me.
Oh, not a problem. And I'm glad to do it too. I mean, I love being able to promote good music no matter where it's coming from. And it's just so great to be able to hear something with this kind of authenticity behind it, and just being able to show that true horror concepts in music again. Because, sometimes people are able to touch on just some songs or something like that. But I love a good full-on horror concept album. And you guys have done that now 2 for 2 now. And both albums are just incredible. And it's got me really excited to see where the band goes in the future.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't started writing the third one yet, but with some of the downtime that we have, I'm definitely gonna start working on something, and hopefully sooner rather than later we'll have a third album. Maybe by the time we actually get to go on tour next, 2021. Although we're supposed to go on tour in September in Europe with Atheist and Cadaver and Svartcrown. I got my fingers crossed that we can go, but I don't know. This COVID-19 thing is pretty devastating. So, it's kind of putting a lot of things on hold. But if it happens, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I definitely want everyone in my band to be safe, and the fans and whatnot. So, if we have to wait till 2021 summer to tour, so be it.
Oh yeah, and it'll be worth the wait too. But if it does end up happening in September, I mean, it is such an incredible lineup that you get to be a part of. I mean, legendary acts, newer bands, and of course From Hell as well. I mean, just it's just a stacked bill from start to finish. And if that does end up happening, it's just going to be an incredible night every night.
I love playing with these guys. These guys are awesome players and performers. So. I very much look forward to it. I can't wait to get out there and play.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and whether that does happen in September or it ends up happening in 2021, having it worth the waits, and possibly even have that third album starting in the writing process or even in the recording phase by then as well. I mean, it's just great to see that motivation of the band is going, and when live shows are able to happen again, seeing how these songs are done in that live setting, because I just imagine with this album, it feels like it was meant to be played live, and it's great to be able to have that sound behind it.
Thank you. We definitely want to play it live, and we definitely want to bring our brand of horror heavy metal out there to the world and play it. It's what we look forward to doing. So hopefully this COVID thing won't last too long, but we're definitely ready to come out and play.
Oh, that's so great to hear that. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world. And of course, the brand new album from Hell, Rats and Ravens, coming out next Friday through Scourge Records. This is such an incredible horror concept album. I hope everyone goes out and checks this thing out, because it's worthy of being heard from start to finish. And again, I thank you so much for being able to take the time to do this, promote this album, and I'm looking looking forward to see everything that's going on in the future. Obviously, COVID aside, I'm very excited to see what's going to be happening as far as touring and the albums coming up in the years to come.
Josh, thank you so much for having me on your show.